experience, a blue-eyed, green-eyed experiment, where you have explain the experiment, Jane, please.
You separate groups according to eye color, and you place those who have the wrong color eyes in the position in which we place minority group members and women in this society, and gays, and people with disabilities. And most of the people that I work with are white, so-called adult males. And those blue-eyed white males, when they are placed in the situation in which they are treated the way women and people of color are treated in this country, react exactly the way women and people of color react in this country.
They get angry.
Angry. I have been threatened with death numerous times. I've been hit by a white male during this exercise. I've had a knife pulled on me. And these are all white males who say they wouldn't have a problem if it happened to them. And they can't understand Los Angeles because they don't know why those people are so angry. Last winter, we were invited to a card party in the town in which I live. And in 1968, I did this exercise in a very informal way with a group of Rotarians in that same town. I was sitting at a card table, and an older man came up to me, and they started to introduce him to me. And I said, I've known him for years. And he said, I remember you. I've never forgotten you, and I've never forgiven you either. I said, what'd they do? He said, I have blue eyes. I said, oh, you're a Rotarian, aren't you? He said, yes, and I've never forgiven you. The man is over 75 years old. He went through that experience for 15 minutes at a Rotary Club luncheon. And he has never forgotten it in 24 years. He is still angry. You tell me about anger. That's 15 minutes and he's still angry.
And what happens in the experiment?
Well, I would you too. That you have those green eyes. That's the problem you're having, the trouble you're having with your daughter. Because you have those green eyes and you aren't as smart as brown-eyed people. This boy's reaction, he goes, excuse me, do you think he's a little angry? That fast. You see, white folks are really super sensitive.
What'd you say, Ron? What'd you say?
I said, where's your proof that brown-eyed people are smarter than blue-eyed people?
I tell you, brown-eyed people. You just listen. Now this is going to be an effort for you. This is going to be an effort for you because you aren't accustomed to listening. White males are accustomed to telling things; they aren't accustomed to listening. Now, brown-eyed people are responsible for the fact that you have electricity. Many of the components for generating and transmitting electricity were invented by brown-eyed people. Brown-eyed people gave us our alphabet. Brown-eyed people gave us our numeration system. Brown-eyed people gave us the paper on which we write these anonymous letters to me that tell me that brown-eyed people are inferior. When you go home, you people do not pray for me, particularly you. Don't you pray for me. I don't have to worry about that. All of a sudden, you ain't going to pray for me. Now, brown-eyed people are the ones who originated or who founded every major religion on this earth. No white people have ever founded a major religion. Now, you need to realize the contributions that have been made to society, to civilization, by brown-eyed people, by people of color. I'm talking about people of color here, folks. And most of us are not aware of those things because we live in a racist society and because we are educated by a racist school system that only teaches us about white contributions. And that's a fact. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. If we would start telling the truth in schools, we would not have racism. We could cure racism in this country. Somebody said, I heard somebody in the green room say that racism is inbred. No, it is not. Racism is not part of the human condition. Racism is a learned response. You have to be taught to be a racist. You are not born racist. You are born into a racist society. And like anything else, if you can learn it, you can unlearn it. But people like this choose not to unlearn it because they're afraid they will lose power if they share it with other people. We are afraid of sharing power. That's what it's all about. That's the reason men won't share power with women because they are afraid they will lose power. People, if we would share power, we would empower many people so that we would all be more powerful.
Well, this is a point, Ron. Ron was saying he doesn't know whether that's prejudice or not because he doesn't want to.
Myself, I don't know if it is. I mean, is that prejudice? Is that racism?
Of course it is. Of course it's racism.
In your point of view.
In the point of view of most people who understand anything about racism, if you were born, raised, and educated in the United States of America, if you weren't a racist, you'd be a miracle. You don't look like a miracle to me.
Other countries don't have racism.
countries do have racism.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
you're saying
other
here,
countries have
America
racism.
this, America that. We're born in a racist society. That's fine and dandy, but what I'm getting from you is that we're the only ones that are racist.
Did I say that?
But that's the impression I'm getting from you.
You choose to get that impression from me. Not everyone is getting that impression from me. You do because you want to.
So I'm
That's the
making an
choice you're
assumption on
making.
your part.
You're making an assumption that will defend your position. It's an indefensible position.
You're not the person that says because white people like chocolate and chocolate milk, they want to be black, are you?
I think you said that. You didn't hear that from me. Did you hear me say that?
No, at some other time, at another program.
Do you really think I would say that?
I don't know.
You see, what we're dealing here with is mental illness. Racism is mental illness. Racism was defined by the President's Joint Council on Mental Health in Children in 1959 as being the #1 mental health problem among children in the United States. And they didn't say among black children, they said among children.
I agree.
If you judge other people by the color of their skin, by the amount of a chemical in their skin, you have a mental problem. You are not dealing well with reality.
Found every month when we do a show about this, that the majority of people who are not of color, white people, always say, but I don't think I'm prejudiced. Even just Gloria said it earlier, but I don't think I'm prejudiced. When we come back, I think what needs to be explained is, okay, everybody is prejudiced. Everybody is prejudiced. And I think the reason why people say, white people in particular say, I'm not prejudiced, is because they're afraid somehow then they're going to be judged because they are prejudiced. I think that if at least the country could just tell the truth about ourselves, if you could just say, yes, if you have to recognize that you are prejudiced before you can begin to change it. When we come back, we're going to tell you why you are prejudiced and how to stop teaching it to your children. Trying to teach racism through the brown-eyed, blue-eyed experiment, and already the blue-eyed and green-eyed people in this building alone are upset and want you to explain, Jane, that what you were saying to him about brown-eyed people and blue-eyed people is not true.
No.
But
his eye color has nothing to do with his ignorance.
In our bill, in Harbaugh, people were saying she needs to say because blue-eyed people, there's nothing wrong. It's an experiment. Yes. Okay, so Jane, what I think we also need to explain, and I think our next show, we should do that. Our next show. How many of you would be willing to participate in the brown-eyed, blue-eyed experiment? Yeah. Okay, good. We'll have you back one day. We'll do it.
People like to suffer, don't you?
Yeah, like to suffer. It's so interesting. Even though you know it's an experiment, people get so crazed in the midst of it. I think you need to explain something that I think maybe got not heard as well as it should have, Jane. Jane said just a few minutes ago that if you were raised white in America and you are not prejudiced, then you would be a miracle. It would be a miracle to not be prejudiced. And explain what you meant by that.
It would mean that the school system had failed, because the school system in this country is about maintaining the status quo. And in this country, it is white supremacy. That is one of the things we teach in the schools. And we teach it in lots and lots of ways. How many of you have ever had a teacher say to you, when I see people, I don't see people as black or brown or red or yellow. I just see people as people. How many of you have ever heard that statement? How many of you have ever
Gloria
made
just
that
said it earlier today. Gloria just said, I don't see color.
I don't see color. Isn't that wonderful? How many of you have ever heard a teacher say this? I don't care if you're black or brown or green with purple stripes. I'm going to treat you all the same. Ever heard that one? Now, how many of you have ever seen earthlings that were green with purple stripes? You see, that's a very serious statement to make, because you are lumping all people of color with aliens. And it's what we do in this country. We consider those who are people of color not really citizens of this country. How many of you have heard this one? I think we should just ignore differences and talk about how we're all alike inside. Okay? Now, I want you to see something. You stand up here, please. Just stand right there. Put your black shoe right beside my black shoe. Now, you people see any differences between us? What's the first one you notice? Height. Is your height important to you?
Yes.
Well, yeah. Would you rather be your height or mine?
Mine.
Absolutely. Everybody would. You see any other differences here? Color. Sex is Is sex important to you? Well, let me put that on. Is the fact that you're male important to you?
Yes.
Yes. Are we alike on the inside?
Yeah.
Oh, we are? Can you get cancer of the cervix? Can I get prostate cancer? No. Does that make a difference in the way we're treated? Absolutely, it makes a big difference in the way we're treated. Sex is an important difference. Height is an important difference. You see any other difference here? Age. Would you rather be your age or mine?
Mine.
You want to get to be my age? Now, that's the ignorance of youth talking, people. He has a lot of things to worry about that I don't have to worry about anymore. Age is an important difference. They're trying to pass legislation in the Congress of this country to allow us to withhold medical attention from those over 75 because they are no longer productive members of society. How many of you have a parent or a grandparent who is over 75? How many of you would want medical attention withheld from that person? On the basis of their birth date. Now, people, you need to be aware that if they can do it to people of color today, they can do it to the aged tomorrow. And all of you will have to worry about that someday if you're very fortunate. See any other differences here? Glasses. You talked about height and age and gender. You see another difference here that's important? Color. Yeah, see, nobody wants to say the C word. It used to be the C word was condom. You couldn't say that one. Now you have to say it because it will keep you alive. But now no one wants to say the C word as color because we have a president who says, I think what we need is a colorblind society. Now, folks, when you hear somebody say that, you know you're listening to a racist. Because what he is saying is there's something wrong with this person's color. Mm-hmm. So we just will pretend he isn't this color. Has anyone ever said to you, when I see you, I don't see you as black?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many of you people of color have had that experience?
Well, you know what happened? Can I share this with you? You all, Jane and you all? I have a neighbor of mine who was a farmer, and I have some sheep, and I have a lot of black sheep. And sometimes when you have the black sheep turn white. I don't know how the hell they do that, but... Anyway, so my neighbor who's a farmer said to me not too long ago, he says, you know, I don't understand. All your black sheep stayed black. And I said, yeah, I guess because they knew they were in a black family. And he said, and my farmer neighbor, who happens to be a white man, said to me, oh, you're not black. You're just a neighbor. I go, I most certainly am black. But that was his way of saying, you're not like what I think other black people are. Right. So I understood that's what he was saying, but that's
what you're saying. Is your color important to you?